the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood. Over there is Jacob Litton. Training camp is here. Jacob, how you feeling?
Oh, I feel fantastic. Finally.
I know.
It's finally back.
New football information is coming out that's actually relevant to the season. And yeah, I'm getting back in my comfort zone. I love it.
Definitely. That just means real football is coming soon.
It is. I mean, well, a week from Thursday, we're recording this Monday night. A week from Thursday is the first game. We got football unless, we're in single digits now, right?
Right. I don't care that it's preseason. I don't care it's the Hall of Fame game.
Yep.
Tune me in.
Get to see it. So we're both excited about that. What we're not excited about is our Tigers are not playing well. So we need to trade deadlines coming up. Mark, they play every day up until I don't know if you know this, look at the schedule. Tigers play every day up until that first preseason game. So we're gonna have even on our day off, it kind of works out. We're gonna get Detroit sports that day, so that's good. Maybe a trade will happen that day too.
I hope so. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, we're still the first to 60 wins.
Yes,
but the way things are going, I don't think we'll be the first to 70.
Yeah.
A lot of other hot teams right on our tail right now.
That is correct.
Still have the Central in command, but as far as being the best team in baseball, we're lingering. We're going through a little bit of a slump right now.
It's all right. We just need to hit our stride towards the end of the season, so we just can't fall back too much. So today, obviously, we're talking training camp, right? We're going to talk about some of the injuries that have happened, what the reports are coming out from the beat writers about training, how training camp's going. There's been 2 practices so far. We've had some media sessions, so we can talk about that too. And then there's been some transactions. People, some have been cut from the team. Some we've added some players. So we'll hit that up real quick. But first, we want to talk about listeners here. We got a couple fan mails from last week. I'm going to go ahead and read that and give them a shout out. So the first one says, "Hey guys, my name is Ben Walls. Just wanted to say I love the show. The back and forth between the two of you and the discussions are great. I enjoy listening to you as much as POD. Keep up the good work and looking forward to the season. Go Lions." So first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to write in, Ben. That's awesome. Second of all, if you enjoy listening to us as much as as us as a POD, you must really love when we have Jeremy or Ryan on, or Morgan or Miko. So you get both of your shows all in one. But we really appreciate it. Everyone knows how much I respect those guys over POD. So have a statement like that makes me feel really good. So any comments or anything, Jacob?
Absolutely. First, thank you for, like you said, taking the time to reach out and make a comment like that. That's awesome. We love the feedback. But yeah, definitely hearing he enjoys listening as much as the POD. Those guys are the gold standard. In our opinion, that's they do a great job over there. So to hear that we're even being mentioned like that is awesome. So Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that.
Yeah. The next comment we got is referring back to our episode a couple weeks ago, I think, when we were talking about the announcers. And someone that we didn't announce, and I knew immediately after the episode that we didn't announce it, but it's a great episode, but had to text y'all. Kevin Harlan. Of course, we didn't mention Kevin Harlan. Should have done that. But he said, can't believe he wasn't mentioned. Guy can broadcast. Imagine him and John Madden. Apparently, that's his dream duo. I talked, in that episode. I know we talked about that. Jacob, this listener did not leave his name, but he's also the listener that a year ago wrote that the siren at the beginning of the intro freaked him out. It's the same listener because it came from the same phone number, no name attached. But I got rid of the siren, so maybe he felt safe. He felt safe enough to listen because he doesn't have to worry about looking over his shoulder. But I think we said at the time, like, he's guilty of something, right? Maybe he's speeding a lot.
Maybe, right? I don't know. When I hear the siren, when I'm listening to music and there's a siren in the song, right away in my rear view, it's like, oh no, they got me.
Looking around. Are you a speeder, Jacob? Do you speed?
I don't. I just let the car take me. Speed is irrelevant
Oh, okay.
until you see the police.
All right.
That's when I check the speedometer. Like, oh,
You're driving like the Autobahn. You just drive whatever you feel comfortable with. That's what Jacob
Yep.
does. All right.
I'm going with the pace of traffic.
All right. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Keep those kiddos safe. That's all I ask.
Oh, this is when I'm by myself. When I'm with the kids, I take things real easily. Probably too much. And we're in the minivan too. So it's funny because sometimes, like, we'll take off, like, it's a red light. We'll take off. I don't, take off very quick or anything like that. We're coasting. It's whatever. Every once in a while, somebody will speed up and like get around me. I'm sure they're just expecting to see some like little old lady in this van. And then they see me.
I just had a picture of you busting butt down the street in a minivan, just like cruising.
Yeah. Hauling ass.
Yeah, getting that grocery getter. All right, man. Why don't you? I'm gonna let you.
Getter.
Yeah, you've heard that term before, correct?
I have heard that term before from my
It's
dad.
Yeah, mostly it would be like a station wagon. That's what we used to call a grocery getter back in the day. You don't see station wagons are now kind of crossovers, which everyone has. Like my Ford Edge, I would consider a kind of a station wagon. Anyways, let's get to Lions football here. Quick transaction tracker. Why don't you, since we've been on last week, there's been a few roster additions, subtractions. Why don't you go through that?
Yeah, so we'll start with the bigger news. Frank Ragnow has officially retired. So if anyone was holding out any sort of hope that maybe there was something up there with him, not being listed, it did not become official. It did finally become official. He's retired. They've asked some of the players about it in camp. They say Frank's having a great time. He's enjoying retirement. So that any thoughts of him potentially coming back are pretty much over with right now. Second big news, Tate Ratledge did sign his rookie deal. Some concerns about maybe some sort of holdout. All of these second round rookies, waiting until the beginning of training camp really before they're making these deals. So Tate Ratledge signs and it ended up being about 70% guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen any of these other second round rookies, but it was a domino effect. Once one of them signed, here come everybody. Now everybody's signing. And the funny thing to me is most of them are signing for the guarantees, pretty much exactly what they were in line to get before. I mean, a lot of people are getting 30, 40% guaranteed. Tate got 70% guaranteed, but I mean, it's about what they were going to get, which makes the holdout thing really, really weird. Like it didn't do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
But
I
thankfully
think it was what you talked about last week, not being the one you didn't want to be the first one to sign, not get the guarantee, then everyone after you gets the guarantee, 100% guaranteed. But I think Justin Rogers tweeted, I was like last year that in around the same position, I think Ennis must have got like 57% guaranteed. So Tate got more than what, than the slot did last year. But yeah, it's just great that he's signed and was there for the first practice and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is interesting that he got, that's a pretty significant amount. If you're talking about the people drafted around him and the people that drafted were there last year only got 30 to 50% and he got 70. So maybe that does just speak on the fact that he knows, how much we need him right now. Maybe. But anyway, cutting to some of the smaller news, lesser known people. So running back Anthony Tyus, we cut ties with him. He's the one that's from Kalamazoo. He was an undrafted free agent. They cut him with a non-football injury. There's not any news out there that I've seen. I'm not sure that we'll get anything. That was somebody, going to be probably competing to show enough to get a practice squad role on here. And, and it always stinks when there's a local kid trying to make it on the team and, things like this happen. But we did have to cut Anthony Tyus. We signed a running back, Jabari Small, in his place. This is his second year. He was undrafted. He has not played in any games. He's a camp body right now. But as we both know, just when your foot's in the door, you're given the opportunity. So you make the most of the reps that you have, the preseason action, and we'll see what we have. If you show up and you show out, it does not matter where you were drafted, where you came from. If, you earn your spot on this team. We also signed 2 cornerbacks. One of them was an undrafted free agent, Tyson Russell. The other one is actually, I know Jeremy had posted about this, about the name Hall of Fame. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. So this other cornerback's name is DiCaprio Boodle, which is funny that I had never heard of him before, but he's played in 22 games over 4 seasons. I believe they were 4 different teams. lot of special teams action, but he has played on defense a little bit. Same situation here. Their foot's in the door. They're given an opportunity here. Let's just make the most of it. And, with some injuries and some things that have happened already in the first couple of days, they're already getting some reps. And, which we're getting into that soon. But yes, so that's what's going on with the transaction so far.
Yep. And then beyond that, some unfortunate injury news, some decent news. Some first thing we'll mention, obviously, Levi Onwuzurike out all season, ACL injury. A little more information came out from that Dan Campbell today. Sounds like it was a lingering issue that they thought they were going to be able to just rehab. Decided that they had to go surgery, which is devastating for Levi. Not great news for the Lions. He was going to have a really good place on this defense. Any thoughts on that at all, Jacob?
I mean, that was very shocking to me. I was not prepared for, that announcement. And something like that is usually like right from the jump of the press conference. And he didn't mention that right away. It was a couple minutes in when somebody had asked him about, him not being there. And, that's really significant. We really are going to have to lean on Tyleek even more than we did before. We already don't have a Liam. That, was really, really bad news for day one.
Yes, I agree. Pat O'Connor is going to be the guy that probably is going to need to step up. He's going to kind of played similar to up and down the line a little bit that Levi did. Pat O'Connor mostly played inside with us, but he does have experience going out. Not all the way out to the edge, but they call it the position 4I, which basically play on the outside of the guard, but inside the tackle, covering the B gap. That Pat O'Connor could play that position. So I think that, that he's going to have to step up. He's not going to be as talented as Levi. It's unfortunate. I know the people on Twitter are, blame Brad Holmes because we, re-signed another injury guy. This really has nothing to do with the previous injury. I don't, it's a totally just a freak thing that, just didn't get better. So it's unfortunate that, they didn't figure this out beforehand before giving the $4 million. But, hopefully it works out for Levi. I like the kid. I'm hoping it works out.
Right. Question for you.
Yeah.
Because you had a really good tweet about this not about this, but you had said before that maybe Levi had like a lingering back problem or something, and that's why we got him at a discounted rate. Maybe the Lions knew when we first said he was going to be on the PUP. You had put that tweet out there. Yeah. Do you still kind of feel like maybe they knew he was working through some sort of knee thing? Because it sounds like you kind of just said that he, they were rehabbing. He was spending a lot of time at the facility. Turns out he just, wasn't going to be better. He was going to have to opt in for surgery. Do you think the knee injury, that they knew about and that played into the salary there?
Yeah. So, that initial tweet came out when he just was on the reserve PUP list, and we thought he's going to be out. He's out we knew he was out for at least 4 weeks. I did not anticipate a season at that point. And
even that sucked. That was really bad news.
Yeah, that was like, oh man, 4 weeks, that sucks. And then, he's going to have to ramp up and get ready and all that stuff. So my tweet was maybe that the Lions knew that there was some offseason surgery that was going to be needed, and it just is taking a little bit longer, and that's why they got him for the discount rate. My feelings now is a little different just because of the stuff that's come out. Maybe they knew there was a lingering issue, or maybe Levi just, I don't know. I don't want to put it on that Levi's like, well, I knew I had this, so he's going to hurry up and sign that deal. But he obviously wasn't feeling great because this ACL extends all the way to the season. So, maybe that's why Levi just didn't want to mess around and have to do the medicals and all that stuff, that he just stuck with the Lions. Because if he signed anybody else, they're going to do a full physical and do all that stuff. So, it was probably good on Levi to get that deal signed early, and so he can get paid this year. But I don't think there was anything nefarious.
I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know how much he got guaranteed.
Yeah, I think the whole thing was guaranteed. I think it's like $4 million or something like that. So I think he I mean, I don't know if there's any bonus structures to it. Obviously, he's not going to hit any of those. But also, I don't want to suggest that he was doing anything nefarious by signing the deal real quick. But I also feel like there was a lingering issue either going with the Lions and that's why the deal was signed so low. And then, and I think that he probably thought he was going to come back, and it might have been an issue where like because it doesn't say ACL tear anywhere, so it might be just some issue that they knew that if he keeps playing, it's going to tear at some point. So let's get in there and try to repair it before it gets too bad, so that he can come back next season and play, either if it's not for us, for someone else. You know, but do you think the Lions will be, they like to, as everyone says, they like to sign injured players. Do you think Levi's a chance to come back next year for us?
Oh, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been around long enough. What reason do we have? I mean, but now with something like this, you'd be looking at the same kind of contract he just got. And we know if he's playing at his top level, right. Yeah. But if he's playing at the high level that we know he's capable of, then he's playing more than he signed for $4 million, 3.5 guaranteed. Yep. He's going to lose all those game bonuses, playing time incentives he had. Could have earned him up to another 750,000. Sack incentives were another 750,000. So basically, it's just a 3.5 million that we were on the hook for. But yeah, I definitely think they leave the door open for him coming back again.
Yeah. Other injury, Josh Pascal. Sounds like from Dan Campbell today, it was like Labor Day. He kind of put that out there. So that's before the season, whether he's ready for game action week 1. That's kind of cutting it close. Depending on if there's a ramp up period, like what does Dan Campbell mean? Like he'll be better at Labor Day. Is that when he starts practicing, or is that when, he's going to be just getting on the field? We don't know. So I think early in the season with Josh Pascal is going to be, a question mark. Taylor Decker was also on the PUP list. Sounds like he just had some surgery. You listened to his media session today, right, Jacob?
Yeah.
It sounds like the surgery went well. Sounds like he's very happy with the results on it. So hopefully, that just allows him to play, play real well this year, because we're going to need his veteran leadership on the line this year. Ennis Rakestraw went on an injury yesterday. From initial, like what Eric and Jeremy said, that like it looked like serious, like he was holding his arm. He's needing some help off the sideline, but Ennis tweeted out he's good. And from what Dan Campbell said this morning, just a chest contusion, be out a couple days and be back, which is great news for Ennis.
Yeah, I mean, that's still, it's concerning for Ennis, just because obviously you get this whole thing about being like injury prone and everything like that. This just sounds like maybe he took a hard hit, sounded, like you said, sounded worse when it first happened, looked worse. He's kind of holding his arm or doing whatever, but, it just said he's sore. Just said sore, out for a few days. Everything structurally looks good.
Yep.
That's just still valuable reps that Ennis is missing out on.
Yes. Hopefully it's early, and he'll get in. I expect to see him quite a bit in at least the first half of these preseason games, depending on how much, experience they think he's going to need. He didn't have a lot last year, so I think all those reps will be very important playing against, people that aren't your teammates. Right. DJ Reed was not at practice today. You said there might be a family issue, right, Jacob? What were we saying earlier?
Well, so I had saw before, like when he first didn't practice, I forget if this was Jeremy or who might have said this, but I guess that DJ Reed's wife is pregnant right now.
Okay.
I don't know if maybe her due date's coming, or they're saying it may be something like that.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean there's a new injury or anything like that popped up, but it might just be family things that are going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that
you had shared that tweet.
Yeah. You tweeted out "God is great" with an exclamation point at around 7:00. I just saw that. So, that could mean a million things. So I don't want to speculate what it is, but it seemed like positive in nature. So hopefully that's good. I want to get DJ Reed back. If it's a new family member, that's amazing too. So happy to get him back when he can come back. Anthony Pittman was out Sunday, came back, played today. That's good. And then today, Sione Vaki left practice early with a leg injury. From everything I'm reading, it doesn't look serious, so I don't know if he's going to miss practice time. We'll find out more from Dan Campbell tomorrow morning on that. But I
don't like that we haven't heard anything about it. Obviously, they don't have to put anything out there. They don't need to. But at the same time, you hear leg injury and you immediately think the worst. But, from what I saw, I'm sure you saw the same thing, that he spent a lot of time stretching and working with trainers and stuff on the sideline before they officially just decided to pull him for the day. So had this been some sort of catastrophic injury, they would not have been doing that kind of stuff on the sideline with him. So he could have just pulled something or,
Yeah, I think Eric and Jeremy said in their posts, like they do like a post-game podcast for direct for their subscribers, and they said that he like did something and then did like 2 more reps, and the trainers, like when he tried to run his 3rd rep, the trainers pulled him off. So I mean, he's trying to work through something. Like you said, I can't imagine it's something too serious if he's out there actually practicing and trying to go through it. So hopefully we avoided something big there. This is I don't know if you caught my exchange with Ryan Matthews on Twitter. He was complaining about 2 different types of people. He was complaining about the voice of reason guy on Twitter, and then he was, it's like the sky is falling guy.
I did see that, and that this is interesting for me because I saw it before you even commented on it.
Yeah. What
I was like, oh God, Jason is the biggest voice of reason guy I think I know.
Well, that's what I replied, because I'm like,
I saw it.
I am a voice of reason guy, but also when I got down to talking with Ryan about it, I feel that he and I actually talked to Morgan, because Morgan reached out to me after he saw my reply. He texted me and asked, he's like, I reached out to Ryan about this too. So the thing that I don't think that Morgan and I came to a consensus on, it was like the condescending nature of either one of these people, where the voice of reason guy was like, you guys are all stupid. Why are you worrying about that? I think that that's maybe what Ryan was leaning on. I don't want to discount anybody's anxiety or whatever they got going on, but I do look at things more positively. I mean, I know even last year with the Aiden Hutchinson thing, you were really down about it. I was upset by it, but it didn't ruin, it wasn't ruining the whole rest of the season. So what did
you were always the glass is half full.
Yeah,
I think what Ryan was pointing at, what I was thinking anyway, is that there's sometimes when these things happen that people are so far on one side or the other, and you've got half the people that are like, well, we might as well just forget the season. The season's over now. We're already getting these injuries. It's going to be the same thing as last year. It's over with. Like, let's not get our hopes up. And then you get the other people that are like, as soon as it happens, like, you know what, we don't need Levi anyway, and we've got Tyleek, and he was already hurt. We don't need him. And, there's just people that are always on like such a far, like one way or the other. Instead of letting this thing play out, let's get more information and obviously we're both optimistic about the team and who we have behind Levi and who we have behind pretty much anybody. Injuries suck. Yep. We saw that last year, but I think we both are more optimistic than neither of us are really like the sky is falling. I mean, I was devastated about the Aiden Hutchinson thing, and I knew where that was leading, but we outperformed even what I thought we were going to last year. But the sky is never falling.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I'm just a guy that just looks forward, just like a lot of things in life. Like, I'm not saying I don't get down and get upset and have regret and all that stuff, but a lot of things, man, you just can't do anything about. And if you're going to sit there and sulk and just be like, woe is me, then you're going to make the situation 10 times worse, as opposed to like, all right, this is a situation at hand. How do we move forward? And what can I do? I mean, I look at that like that's just not football, but that's just anything, get injured at home. Okay, well, what can I do instead? I lose my favorite podcast. What can I do? Start a new podcast, right? It's just like those things like, go ahead.
Just when you said that, just remind me, because I listen to all the players, like everything that they said. And David Montgomery had a really good quote, and it kind of goes into what you were just kind of saying, that David Montgomery said, you can't hold on to spilled milk. You just clean it up and figure out what you need to do to get the next class.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. And I have a awesome quote too. I gotta find it, but it's going in the quote Hall of Fame from earlier today. So I'm gonna find that and we'll talk.
Do you remember who said it?
Grant Stewart said it, and Eric Schlitt tweeted it out, and I wanted to talk about it a little later on, but it's
okay.
Well,
That's
I'll
fine
do it
because
right
I
now.
actually did not see. I didn't see. Did Grant Stewart have an interview, or this is something
He did
was just
not.
saying
I
to Eric,
think
or-
that Eric just must have just talked to him, and he's
Gotcha.
yeah. So you know, yeah, let me go. Let me find this because
Yeah.
it is
Not surprising at all that Grant Stewart is going to have some more awesome
exactly.
quotes.
Heck yeah. So let's see here. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay. So Grant Stewart said this. He goes, "When the monkey jumps on your back, you have to make that decision if you're going to take him for a ride." So like similar type thing, like you got a bad situation or something's like hanging on to you, like, don't let that monkey control you. You control where you're gonna go. So I when I read that, I was like, oh my God, I love that. I've never heard that before.
No,
It's amazing.
right. That's
saying.
hilarious.
Yeah. So I'm liking when hearing from Grant Stewart, just like all his interviews, just seems like a good dude that's got a good head on his shoulders and a good way of looking forward. So I'm happy about that. Any of these injuries or anything else that I missed, Jacob, or I think I caught everything.
I think we touched on everything that I had.
Okay.
Hopefully, hopefully there's not as much injury news in the coming days, weeks, and months.
Well, also it's early in practice, so like even with the Vaki injury, they're pulling him out. It's like with the regular season, yeah, he's probably going to fight through this or whatever. As long as we can just avoid long-term injuries, we'll be all right. All right. So what? is
Actually,
coming-
real quick, one more
I'm
thing.
sorry,
One
go
more
ahead.
thing.
Yeah. No,
Did you
got it.
finish the Netflix show? The
I'm
quarterback. Did you finish it?
I am all the way up to the last episode. We've watched
Oh, and
episode
you're just having a
6
hard
last
time.
night.
Oh,
Yeah. No, we just watched episode 6 last night. I was out of town this weekend. Um, actually, I'll give a shout out to my buddy Paul Tavernet. He actually listens to the show, college roommate. So he I just want to give him a shout out. We talked like we talked for like everyone else went to bed, and it was like half hour, 45 minutes of more Lions talk. It's like 1 a.m, and we're talking about the Lions. So it was a great conversation. But yeah, I did not have a chance to watch the rest of it until maybe tonight, but probably this is gonna go probably too late, so I'll probably do it tomorrow.
well, you probably
will
have already
watch it.
reached the
I
part
will
that I was
watch it,
talking
though.
about, though. Yeah,
What's that?
but because I didn't really realize how much that Goff was battling that ankle injury, during the season last year when we were watching it.
They haven't heard about it, so maybe they talk about that in episode 7, but I haven't.
Okay.
They haven't revisited it. Thanks for ruining
So
episode 7, Jacob.
Well,
Next
I
thing
feel
you're
like
gonna
that
tell
was
me
during
that
the Tex-
Commanders are gonna beat us.
I feel like it was during the Texans game or Titans,
Okay.
maybe. I forget what game it was in. He got tackled awkwardly. His ankle kind of rolled, and I
Okay.
do kind of remember that. And he had it wrapped and everything, but I didn't realize it was like a lingering thing that bothered him for weeks afterward.
Yeah.
And then you see the behind the scenes on this Netflix show. It's like, okay, well, maybe that did have something to do with the ball coming out during the Houston game and everything like that. So,
well, that like when they showed his ankle rolling in that Tennessee game, I mean that was a pretty severe roll.
right.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
crazy.
just remind me when you said about the injury thing.
Yeah, no problem.
Moving on.
Yep. All right, let's talk about what's coming out of the practice media sessions. I'm sure you've read all the reports, Jacob. Is there anything where you want to lead off with that you're excited that you heard or want to hear more about?
So we'll just write with the number one thing that you have on the list right here. The reports that Jahmyr Gibbs and Sione Vaki are working with wide receivers in individual drills.
Yeah.
So they're working with the running backs and they're working with the wide receivers, which goes, what we kind of heard before is that 2 running back sets, got a running back out wide. Sounds like Gibbs and Vaki are actually doing that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm excited to hear it. I've read that Gibbs has looked good in receiver drills. I mean, he was a good receiver in college. It doesn't surprise me to hear about that. Justin Rogers said that he looked really good, and he, expecting another major step from Gibbs this year. And along with that, kind of goes with that. Eric Schlitt talked about that they can't talk about the positioning of any of these things because they can't talk about, but they did say that there are 2 running backs out together. So 2 running back sets, which I know probably makes Jeremy Reisman happy because he's been wanting that forever. So that'll be interesting. Those things that we've talked about, what would John Morton do? Yeah, sounds like one thing that they're trying out at least early in camp, getting 2 running back sets out there.
Yes, Dave Montgomery also said too when they asked him, about the offense and everything, he said he's excited to be on the field at the same time as Jameer.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be different for them. I mean, that's one thing that you guess you don't really think about. Like, they're always one's on the sideline, one's on the field. I bet you it would be fun for them to be in the same huddle together and,
Right.
figuring things out. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Next thing I'll talk about is that today, at least, Hendon Hooker, it sounds like he had a really good day. Him and Kyle Allen, yesterday, Hooker repped with the third string and Allen went with the second string. And then the Lions typically do this at camp, like with their second and third string quarterbacks, they kind of flip them. And so it's kind of, you get a different, you're getting to play with the twos. It gives them a little more fair competition, right? Because if you're always repping with the threes, you know, you're playing with lesser competition because you're probably playing against the third string defense, but you also got the third string wide receivers, which a lot of them are undrafted free agents. So Hooker got to work with Isaac Tesla today. Sounds like they have a good connection, which doesn't surprise me at all. If you're Hendon Hooker and you're going to be repping with the twos, yeah, I'm sure that they practice during the offseason so that they could have a connection.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about that now? I mean, first, I heard the same thing prior to Detroit. I know there's a couple other people that have posted about that too. And Nolan Bianchi at Detroit News, he actually said the headline of practice was the performance of Hendon Hooker, and said it was one of the sharpest sessions that he's ever seen from him. But, because we talked about that before too, and you kind of downplayed the Kyle Allen thing and thought that, he's a veteran during camp, he's going to make Hendon Hooker better and everything. And, what Dan Campbell is saying and what everyone's kind of said is that this is an open competition for QB too. And, they gave Hendon a lot of things to work on during the offseason. He's been working on it. I know Hendon also said the same thing. They had a brief little talk with him, but he said he's not worried about having to compete for the quarterback 2 spot. They said he's supposed to be working on playing fast and playing confident. And he's seeing things faster, seeing things develop a lot more early. He's playing on time with the rest of the team. So all positive things from Hendon Hooker. But do you still feel the same way? I mean, do you feel like this is Hendon Hooker's job, or do you really feel like this is an open competition?
Well, I mean, I do believe that they're not lying when they say it's an open competition. However, I think it's Hendon Hooker's job. I'd be pretty shocked anything outside of injury to knock him down. I think they know what they got with Kyle Allen. He's, if anything, it's just like put another guy in the room. This guy knows what it's to be a backup. We've talked about it before on this podcast. Being a backup isn't just sitting on the sideline and holding a clipboard. I mean, he's looking at film for Jared Goff. I mean, there's a lot of things that, they brought in this guy, but it's also, a guy that's played, in many camps. So yes, he could, push Hendon a little bit. What I'm excited about hearing is that if he's, what you said, Hendon's got to make faster decisions, because that was the problem last year, is that, he might have been making the right decision. It's taken him way too long to get there. I have no qualms with his arm though, because you and I saw it at camp last year. I mean, he could zip the pass in there. He's got an NFL arm. I'm okay with all that. So it's just a matter of him making the right decisions. And then when he gets in a game, he's got to show it when he's in the preseason games, right?
Right. I'm very excited to see him in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into that, what camps we're going to be at. So we got some stuff, exciting stuff coming up here in the next week or so. Another thing that I think speaks to what they're going to do with the offense this year is there's talk of a lot more deeper shots this year. Sunday's practice, they did not have a successful connection. However, today they did have some successful connections. So I'm excited about that. J-Mo's in that talk. I mean, you talking deep shots, obviously you're talking J-Mo, but they're sending Khalif deep too. So I'm wondering if this is just like, hey, let's get this done early in camp, or I'm really hoping this extends to the game. And it's not that I feel like, oh, we need to have, 40, 50-yard receptions. I just like the idea of doing it, because what are you doing? You're freeing up Amon-Ra and Laporta over the center, because you're going to send those safeties back. And then what happens also when the safeties are back, right? Your run game.
Your run game
improves,
yes.
Right? So, I mean, you don't necessarily, you need to hit on them for people to respect them. which, I think the Lions will do, and they'll take their shots. But I like the idea of just sending those guys and just, you know, making teams defend it.
Right. I mean, that's just another aspect of the offense that they have to think about.
Mhm.
If the threat of us going deep, especially having Jameson Williams out there, he's always a threat to go deep. They've got to
Yes.
constantly think about that. I also saw, I know you saw it too, Tesla. I said that he, looked good. He was also running deep routes and everything like that too. So that's really good to hear. I want to see
Yep.
him in game action as well.
Yeah, I
But
can't
yeah,
wait
I
to
mean,
see
these are
him
more.
play. Eyes are going to be on him. I just want to see what he actually looks like up close. Closer than not going to be right up next to him, but up close on the field. So I'll be excited about seeing that in the next couple weeks. And sounds like Tesla's having a good connection with Hooker, as I mentioned before. So we're going to see that in practice. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to see him. It sounds of Justin Rogers tweeted today that straight line motion and his hands are looking good. What Tesla's going to have to work in is getting in and out of his breaks, because he is creating separation, but then he's giving it up when he gets inside in and out of his breaks. But who on the team is going to be able to help him run routes the best? Who do you think?
Of course, Amon Ra, probably, right?
Exactly. That
What?
guy is like a technician, right?
You hear that JMO's been running routes better too, right?
Mm-hmm. And his
I
hands.
saw a few quick. Yep, I saw a few quick clips. Just I think the clips I saw there was no defense or anything, but I mean, looks like he's moving better. Like you said, good hands. I mean, just everybody getting better, right?
Yes. Well, it sounds like his hands are getting better. It just seems like, from what the guys over at POD are talking about, he just looks a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever say he wasn't confident. He always seemed confident, but he just looks like everything's slowed down, and he's primed for another big jump this year, which should make all of us make for a good season. We're gonna have
Yes.
to protect him up front, though, right? So to get him to those deep shots. One thing I didn't put in the outline here, but is the offensive line. Do, do you know? Why don't you tell everybody how the first team's lining up?
Yeah, so the first team right now, the first people getting a crack at it, Decker is obviously not practicing right now. So they've got Dan Skipper in his spot. Christian Mahogany's at left guard. The rookie Tate Ratledge is getting the first crack at center. Graham is back on the right side playing right guard. And then Panay Sewell obviously is right tackle. That's the first team offensive line right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Campbell, specifically pointed out, they asked him, who are you looking at, what unit, what group or whatever. He said, I'm looking at this offensive line. He said, we have to sort the offensive line out. Obviously, Hank's going to do a good job getting them ready, but he also kind of alluded to the same thing I was saying before. Like, you want to get the five and you want them to work together as a group. You don't want to constantly have to be shuffling people around. But he also said these first 10 days, up to the Hall of Fame game are going to show us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's still open. It looks like those are the five that they're hoping to go with right now. Obviously when Decker comes back, he's going to slide back into that starting left tackle spot.
It'll be interesting how that trickles down. Does Dan Skipper now go to right guard because they got Manu doing, or right tackle? They got Manu doing left tackle, pretty much exclusively. So it'll be interesting, the trickle down effect when Decker gets back.
Right.
It's only been 2 practices, so it's hard to say this is how the offensive line is going to look, because they have shuffled the second and third teams around quite a bit, it sounds like. But as of right now, I think they're going to give Tate every chance he can to win the center job. And I think Dan Campbell's right. They're probably going to go up to that first preseason game, right? And then they'll know. They know what they got in Graham. They already know that he can handle that position.
Right.
So it's like, okay, we'll give Tate the first 10 days and we'll see if he, is he improving? Is he getting better day to day? Is this something that we can go into the season with? Otherwise, they will probably just rotate. They'll move Tate over to right guard where he was already, he played in college, and then put Graham at center. But I I didn't read the article because I don't subscribe to the Free Press, but Dave Burkett had an interview with Graham, and just from the snippets I've read or that I've heard from that article is that Graham did not ever feel comfortable at left guard last year, or just, that wasn't a spot. So getting him back over to the right side, um, you know, people are counting him out just because of how bad he played on the left side. I won't say bad, but kind of underperformed on that side, I would say. Maybe when he gets back to the right side, a side he feels more comfortable with, we're gonna get the Graham back that we know.
Absolutely. That seems to be the best for everybody. Get him back where he's comfortable. Obviously next to Panay and everything too, but right. He's more comfortable on the right side. We've got Mahogany kind of played both as well. I know Mahogany also played mostly right guard, but he played both sides last year and he played well in the limited sample size. So, I mean, and Mahogany's been training with Panay Sewell during the offseason. Mahogany seems ready to go. And I think the expectation was always going to be him playing left and Graham playing right.
Yep. It's funny because, people ask Mahogany about going over to the left side. And, some of these players, when you ask them to switch sides, they're like, it's like, everything switches. It's like all of a sudden writing with your left hand when you're right handed. And Mahogany just kind of said, I just step back with the opposite foot. That's all he said. So I was like, some of these guys, and it's probably like that with some people. Some people just, their brain can switch. I equate it to like you're doing something that you do all the time. Like, I'm at work, I'm checking a prescription the same way every time, and then they change the software or whatever, and then all of a sudden I got to relearn this, like something I do every day, 500 times a day, and then all of a sudden I got to relearn it. Like after a few of them, I start to get in a rhythm. But yeah, it's like reading a different language, and you first get something like that, you're just like, okay. And that's what I probably equate to. Some of these guys can probably adapt quicker than the other, but Mahogany, I don't know if you probably read this, put Derek Barnes on his butt on Sunday's practice. I think he felt bad about it, but that was just a little bit of his dirtbag, nature coming out right there.
Yeah, he made a point. They asked him about that. He said, this is his first camp. He missed all of camp last year. So this is his first camp. This is the first time he's putting on, the pads during camp and everything. He's like, that's what he lives for. He was like, I'm hungry. He felt bad for hitting Barnes like that, but that's what we're out here to do.
Exactly. Well, I think about, wasn't it Barnes last year that got in a couple scuffles? I think it was Barnes that, like, in the training camp that there was like some scuffles in there. So Barnes is not afraid of a little contact in camp. So I think it'll be all right.
Right.
Just while we're mentioning his name, he had the post-game or post-practice interview today. It was great to see him out there and just talking, and he's such a nice, good dude. He just seems like a good dude. He's all excited about Shep. A lot about Sean Dean Hamilton, the new linebackers coach, talked a lot about him. So yeah, I'm excited, and he is excited about what Shep's doing with his defense, what they're going to be specifically doing with him. It sounds like.
Right. He said the role is only slightly different, playing a little more off the ball, but doing a lot of the same things. No, he said it's a kind of I forget how he worded it, because he said he didn't want to say it was weird, but it's just with Sean Dion Hamilton to have played with him. So he played next to Sean Dion Hamilton, and now all of a sudden he's a coach.
Yeah.
But he said it's nice, have someone who knows how to take coaching, translate it to the meeting room, and that, obviously this is just another, which the Lions have a history of now with Dan Campbell, that the coach has been in a player's shoes. He knows what it's like to be out on the field. So, they're bringing a different aspect to it.
The players do mention that a lot, that they like that they're like, this guy's been in the trenches. He's been on the war field. He knows what to do and what we're going through. It's not to say like, that, they all have to have, like, you can't be a good coach unless you're a player, but I do think players relate to that. And then coaches, I'm sure it helps them get in the player's mind and find out what's going to be effective. And it was also interesting. Barnes asked him, what's like to be back in that room. Obviously, Alex is not, out there playing yet. We didn't mention him in the injury section, but sounds like there's a hamstring issue. Dan Campbell said, no way, it's not a hold-in situation. He refused to believe it, is what the comment Dan made. So I want to get Alex out there. I'll feel much better about things when he gets out there or when everything gets settled. But what I was going to talk about, what Barnes said that uh, he could basically communicate with Jack now with just like a look. Like, did you see that? Like, and I was like, I like this room because when Alex, they're obviously gonna be able to do it with Alex. Alex is like
Right.
another quarterback back there, so I'm excited about that room. I think it's got a chance to be a really good linebacking room.
Absolutely. Yeah, he said, the chemistry with the linebacker room was amazing. He also had said last year was the first year where he felt like everything was coming together for him. The game slowed down. He felt stronger. He felt faster. Obviously, the injury and everything happened, but being able just to retain that same linebacker room was amazing.
Yeah.
I also got that same thing. That was cool where he was like, they kind of can just look at each other and, they're seeing the same stuff out there.
Yeah.
ABC, top linebacker group in the NFL.
All
or
right.
what were we, number 2, number 3, according to
number 2, I think, right? PFF had us number 2 behind the Eagles.
we'll see.
So it sounded like DJ Reed did not practice today, but yesterday it sounded like Amon-Ra got the better of DJ Reed a couple times, which I'm not going to fault the guy because Amon-Ra is amazing, but it sounded like DJ Reed was tight coverage everywhere else, and I was happy to hear about that. He's going to be an upgrade over Carlton as far as being sticky. Not that Carlton was bad. I just feel like DJ Reed's probably going to be just a tad bit better.
Right. And he doesn't have to be, right? I mean, we just need him to play at what Carlton was playing, and we need him to bring that same aspect that Carlton brought. We don't necessarily need him to be significantly better. It's not like we needed the upgrade. We just need to keep the ball rolling with what we had before.
Exactly.
And it definitely seems like he's going to be able to do that. And as far as losing out on, a couple of routes to Amon-Ra, that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get the better of some. It's something else Dan Campbell said. He's like, so much of camp is about trying to test each other. You've got to solve problems. You've got to solve them fast. It looks awful out there when it happens to one of the units, but it's one of the best things that can happen because now you get to fix it. So these little things that happen, yes, it might look bad if he, gets beat on a double move or something like that and leaves Amon-Ra wide open. But at the same time, these reps are what's making you better. You win some, you lose some. You can figure these things out right now during camp and get more comfortable with the defense. Obviously, this is his first year here.
Well, I mean, you want the errors to happen now. You want to be able to work through it, but you got to fault DJ Reed for losing reps to Amon-Ra. Take any quarterback and turn their head around. I mean, he is one of the best,
right?
If not the best, he's one of the best route runners in the NFL, and just like an absolute technician. And he's I would say Amon-Ra's a vet now. He's in his second contract. He you can't get much better than practicing against that. Rocky Ya-Sin has been moved up a little bit just because it's a little telling that they're moving Rocky Ya-Sin up because of the DJ Reed was out today and Ennis being out. They're really shorthanded at cornerback. So them moving up Rocky Ya-Sin, Dorsey's out too, but that means that we kind of get in an order now of where guys are lining up. While we're on the cornerbacks, sounds like Terrion is taking a step forward from what I'm reading. He's had couple good practices.
Yes, he's getting more comfortable. He's taking that year 2 leap seriously, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So, when we talked about the injuries at the beginning with Levi and stuff, something that I was thinking about, Jacob, I think people are forgetting how good our back end is going to be. I mean, with DJ Reed, Terrion, obviously our safeties are really good, and our linebacking core is really good. We're going to be able to stop the run, right? And we got Aiden to do the rushing. So, I mean, losing Levi, voice of reason guy, losing Levi
here we go.
is bad, but I feel really good about people behind them, behind the defensive line. So, this is not a skies falling situation. We're going to have a good defense. Yes, would I like to have Levi on the team? Yeah, 100%. But I think that we have a lot of great pieces on this team that it's not over because of something like that.
Right. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, if you can't plug those holes up, you can't count on Jack and Alex getting a tackle 4 or 5 yards after they're past the line of scrimmage.
Oh yeah, well, 100%. But I think I'm not worried about the run defense. even with the guys that are replacing him, it's getting towards the quarterback is going to be the tough part. Um, I know we're going to talk about the Von Miller contract later on, so maybe you want to bring up Zadarius at that time. But I think is the first thought you had when Levi was out, like, okay, when is Zadarius signing?
No, actually,
No?
it did not cross my mind for a
Okay.
while. I've always kind of been in the mindset that Zadarius is probably coming soon. But when that first happened, it wasn't like, oh, get him here now.
Yeah. I know that was like, I wasn't like we need to get him here yesterday or whatever, but it was, obviously it came up. I mean, I know that they don't play the exact same position.
Right. Yeah, I was
So
looking more like, because with Aleem out and Tyleek being a rookie, thought that Levi was going to have some value inside instead of having to move outside as much as he did last year.
mhm.
But now
So
that's out the window.
All right, so in our chat here, I'm gonna read this out right now because it's so Coda, one of our longtime listeners. Shout out Coda. Do you guys think Zadarius will sign with the Lions, and if so, when? I think we're both in the mindset that I'm in like an 80-20 that he's gonna sign. That's where I'm at right now, 80-20. Are you higher than that, or where are you at?
I think that's fair. I'll probably, I'm probably around the same thing. I
Okay.
just, unless some other team swoops in and offers him more money and he just decides that he wants that bag more than he wants a chance to win, I think that he's going to be in Detroit. At the same time, I don't know why he hasn't signed already. I don't know what he's holding out for. And, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but people are signing now. Contracts are happening. So,
yeah, my bet is that after the Hall of Fame game, I think it's going to happen after the Hall of Fame game.
okay.
That's when I would bet. So, these first few days of camp for a guy like Zadarius, I mean, we would like him to be at camp, but they're not ultimately like he's a vet. He's been through this. Like as long as he stayed in good shape, which I'm sure he has, because it sounds like he knows he wants to come back to the Lions. So he's obviously not gonna just not be in shape. So I expect him to be back. So to answer your question, Coda, mine is after the Hall of Fame game, somewhere in that week before the third preseason game. That's where or the first
But,
like true
yeah.
preseason game. Yeah, that's what I meant. So
That's what I was just
about
going
you?
to say is my concern would be if he holds out and doesn't sign before that third preseason game. Because I don't want to sign him right after the third preseason game and then just be, here we have this little time for you to get ready before the season starts.
Yeah.
Yes, he knew the defense, last year for the most part. Some things are changing with Shep. So, I mean, and, he just needs to be here.
Yep.
So I'm okay with him not being here at the moment, but that's when it starts to rub me the wrong way if you wait until literally right before the season starts.
Yep. And it might have to do with some of the numbers that come out with. So let's skip to that right now because we're just dancing around it. So the Von Miller contract. Why don't you go through what he got and we can go from there.
Yep. So we'll go over some of the other defensive end contracts too. But for right now, just if we're zeroing in on the Von Miller deal. So Von Miller signed a contract with the Commanders, 1 year, $6.1 million. After seeing these numbers, are you upset that we did not sign him for that rate? Or how do you feel? Like, let's say that he got that offer and he, his agent calls Detroit, says, hey, he's got 1 year, 6.1 million on the books in Washington. If you go 1 year, 6.2 million, he'll come to Detroit. Would you have taken that deal?
Yes, I think I would have. However, I will say that if the whole plan is that Zadarius is coming back and we're going to get him for a little cheaper than that, I might be willing to do that. I don't, Zadarius could play a little bit. I wouldn't say he could play inside, but he could play like Von Miller's is going to be a one-way player and coming in on third down. I think Zadarius is a guy that you could certainly play in third down, but I think he could play in earlier downs too. So he's a little more versatile, in my opinion, at least. So I'm not saying I'd rather have Zadarius over Von Miller, but I just think the Lions are going to look like that they would like his versatility a little bit more. Where do you feel about that?
I'm kind of, it hurts that he went to Washington too. Obviously because of what last year, and it just seems like Washington is definitely capitalizing on the rookie quarterback contract, and they're putting the right pieces together. So I don't like that. But yeah, seeing the numbers and that he would been available for that much, I would have liked to have him here. Even rotating, just coming in, he was still really effective. he, was more effective than Za'Darius. I think that my opinion will change based on how much Za'Darius signs for, honestly.
Okay. Yep. And that's valid.
Because now I feel like if you're Za'Darius and you're looking at this, that's probably your like the floor. Other people are probably looking at, well, you are worth probably a little bit less than that if that's what Von Miller is looking at if you're going to take a 1-year deal. But I think Za'Darius is probably looking at that saying like, well, I want to get what Von Miller got. I want to get that money. Von's older than me. I think Von's older than him, right? By a couple years,
yeah.
but
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, so that's the part that's going to be interesting is now that these contract numbers are out, how much did we cut him to save total? Do you remember?
It was like, well, we would have paid him like I think $5.5 million this year, and then it would have been $5.5 million next year. So it was $11 million.
Right.
Is what.
And
what
he's not right. So I mean, is he going to come back for just another 5.5 mil? Is that what we're aiming for here? Is he wanting another extra million? Is he doing a 1-year, multi-year? So that's gonna change my opinion based on how
how much
what the numbers look like. Right. But on the surface, yes, I would have been okay with just signing Von Miller and being done with it. I'm not a fan of if we do have Za'Darius, we're talking to him and the expectations that he's going to sign in a couple weeks or whatever. I'm not a fan of just waiting that out and letting good players go away because we're holding out on him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. Just to answer your earlier question, Za'Darius is 32. He'll turn 33 in September.
And Von's like 35, 36. Yeah.
He's 36. Yep. So
just a few years different, but yeah.
Just a few years different, but also Von's had some injury stuff lately too. If you're the guy, if you're an injury guy, the Brad Holmes only sounds injured people. Do you have the same opinion about Von? That we just signed him because of that. I never thought Von was going to come here. I just didn't think that was possible. I also thought Von was going to sign for a little bit more than what he did. So I think the money changes my mind a little bit about it, but I still, like I said, 80-20 Za'Darius come back. Speaking of defensive and contracts, the Aiden Hutchinson market's kind of even become even more clear. What did TJ Watt sign for, Jacob?
Monster deal for TJ Watt. So 3 years, 123 million. So he is now the richest edge defender. I think that was the most non-quarterback, right?
Yes, he is the highest.
Yeah.
He topped
highest paid non-quarterback now.
Yeah, he topped Myles Garrett's deal.
So TJ Watt now sits at 41 million per year. Myles Garrett is at 40 million right now. Danielle Hunter is third at 35.6 million. So you got the Von Miller signing, TJ Watt signed. There was also George Karlaftis, Kansas City, who is in the same class as Aiden Hutchinson, signed for 4 years, 88 million. Which, obviously is not as pricey, but the point is the people are signing, edges are signing, the dominoes are starting to fall into place here. And now we're kind of stuck in a situation where, Micah Parsons and Trey Hendrickson are both currently working on deals, and we are working on deals with Aiden Hutchinson. So is there more of an urgency to sign Hutch because of these other contracts and because of the, because of the ones that are signed and because of these looming ones? Or do you think it's still business as usual? I mean, what's the holdup here in your opinion?
I'm wondering if it's like we're waiting to see what Micah does and what contract he gets, and then or if Micah's waiting.
Why would that benefit? Right? Why would that benefit us as the Lions?
It would not. But I'm saying I'm wondering Aiden's agents like sitting there waiting. Aiden's gonna sign with the Lions. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of working out the details. The Trey Hendrickson one, he's probably gonna be last. Probably is the Bengals. Who knows what they're doing over there? I don't know if you've read any more about the Shamar Stewart thing, but that owner is such a cheap ass, man. I am glad that our owner's not like that. And so I don't even know if the Trey Hendrickson's gonna happen, especially after all these deals are coming up. I don't know how the Bengals are gonna afford to pay him, and then T. Higgins, Burrow, and Chase. That's gonna be a tough thing to navigate. But I'm wondering if the Micah Aiden thing is, one's waiting on the other to sign their deal. But I can't imagine you're going to go too much over the TJ Watt deal. I think Aiden probably tops the TJ Watt deal. I think it's going to happen. What, do you think that?
I think that it does. My concern is that if we don't get the deal, let's say we get the deal done right now and we match it, he'll make an average of $41 million per year over for a longer contract, probably playing around with the guarantees and different things like that, which I'd be okay with. But he's going to sit at $41 million per year. What do we do if Micah signs a contract and is at like $44 million per year? Then do we have to pay Aiden Hutchinson 44, 45? I mean, we need him on the team.
Aiden signs after
if Micah signs right before Aiden. If Micah signs first and gets like 44 million or something like that. Or let's say Trey Hendrickson, let's say they do work out a deal. Trey Hendrickson hits 42 million. Now know that Micah Parsons is looking at that as his floor. Like that's, I'd have to make at least 42. Yes. But you would think Aiden Hutchinson's probably thinking about the same thing.
Yeah.
From the Lions, you've got the whole injury thing, but that's not really, I don't know. It's just tough for me. I wish we would have already signed him before these dominoes started falling into place, but I definitely don't want to wait too long. But have you seen the stuff that Jerry Jones has been saying about Micah Parsons?
Yes. Sure. I talk about another owner that I'm glad that he doesn't own my team, just because why do these guys make it so difficult? Like, is their ego that large that they have to say this stuff? I mean, I know Jerry Jones is. I think Mike Brown, right. I don't think it's an ego thing. I think he's just cheap.
Yeah, I just don't understand why you say anything at all. Why are you publicly talking about this?
Yeah. There's nothing to gain from it. You're not going to be in the player's favor, and you're not going to turn fans against Micah Parsons. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're going to side. They know what type of guy Jerry Jones is. Yeah, I don't know why he's got to,
He said something along the lines of like, well, what if he gets hit by a car? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that have to do with how much you're paying him right now?
Exactly. Like anybody could.
Does that mean that he's trying not to, he's being stingy on these guarantees? Like that's why they're far apart.
Yeah.
But I believe Micah Parsons is still in camp. Like, he's not holding out or anything like that. So, and they're finding Trevon Diggs is not in camp and they're finding him.
Are they finding him? Yeah. I don't know if they're required to find.
Not a good look.
Because, yeah. Well, if you're going to sit there and talk about injured players, Dak Prescott is your quarterback and he misses quite a few games and you're paying him quite a bit of money. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's not.
But I mean, while you're talking about that was the same kind of catastrophic injury that happened to Dak as what happened to Hutch.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I that's a different situation. What I'm saying is, if you're going to sit there and argue about one of your players being injured and paying them, you're going to do that. I mean, football players get injured, and it's not like Micah Parsons is always injured. He misses games, but he also, when he's in there, he's a massive
top of the line.
Massive game disruptor. So, yeah, so let's get back to the Aiden thing. What do you think the holdup is? Do you think it's the Lions, or do you think it's Aiden, or do you think it's Aiden agent? Where if you had to guess, where would you think the holdup is?
I think you're onto something where his agent's probably talking. I mean, the agent's going to be the one talking to Brad, talking to the team and figuring out. I don't think that Aiden is going to be too heavily involved with this stuff. He's going to kind of let it play out. But I'm sure what the agent is advising is let's see what Micah signs for.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We'll see what Micah signs for. We're in no rush to get a deal done right now. You're under contract anyway. We'll see what Micah signs for, and then that'll be what they have to match. That's what we're going to get.
If we have not given Aiden his contract by week 1 of this season, does that tell you anything? Like, are you worried that the deal won't get done, or that this is extending later on? Where do you think it'll? I mean, I certainly don't want it to go to next season, right? I don't want it to go to his last year. So what if you're not done by week 1? If you're not done by week 1 when the season starts, are you upset?
I would say, yeah. I mean, there's 0% of me that doesn't feel like it's going to get done. I feel like Aiden is going to be a Lion. Like that's, I'm not concerned about that at all, but I definitely don't want the talks going into the season and into next year. And especially like if Micah Parsons and Trey Hendrickson both work out deals and we still don't have one by week 1, then I'm kind of concerned and kind of like, what's the holdup? What are we waiting for now?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I've been feeling for weeks. We already talked about this. We kind of wanted this to already have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wanted it to happen like last year's extensions before training camp even started.
Right.
Yeah, it's not even a thought. Yeah, I want it done by the time the season starts. I don't want this to be a talking point through the season. I don't want to have to question it. Aiden's on our team next year regardless. We got him for the 5th-year option, so I'm not. It's not like we're going to lose him after this year, but the price tag only goes up. And also the stuff you could do with spreading these contracts out over a longer period of time. Like the bonus structure and stuff like that, getting them signed now and doing what they did with Panay, working in their 5th-year option, messing around there, and you got longer, you could spread out as bonus this year if you want to into next year and the following year. Whereas if you wait, it's just going to be more void years that they're going to put on this thing and spread things out. So I'm hoping it gets done sooner rather than later, especially before Micah signs. That way we don't even have to have this talk. Should he get paid more than Micah?
Right.
I don't want to have all that, but I'm sure that that's on his agent's mind. All right, Jacob, I think we're about to wrap up here. Is there, I want to talk about what's, what practices we're going to so people can have that expectation. I am scheduled to go this Saturday, so I'm going to be there. Jacob is working. He can't make that practice. It's actually our season ticket holder practice. That's the only date that I could go on the ones that they offered. So my wife and I are going to go. I'll be taking notes. So, I'll be on hand with my own eyes.
Are you actually going to be taking notes?
I will
not
take
be
notes.
there to snap you out of it.
I know. I will take notes.
Maybe you should just let Sarah take notes.
That would be good.
Give her the roster, let her, or she can just write down the numbers.
She just write down the numbers. She's the one with the binoculars, man. I'm telling you. She knows.
Right.
She'll know who's on the sideline. I guarantee you that she will know who's on the sideline, who's been back there, who's working with the trainers. That's her wheelhouse, man. She loves doing that.
There you go. I feel better about that.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I'm glad you do. Well, you and I will both be at practice on Monday. So the training camp we're recording this on Monday, a week from today. What is that? The 28th. We're both going to be there. So one of us will take notes. Maybe both of us will take notes.
I'll take notes while Jason's just stashing up on the free muffins and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I had to. You saw the cheerleaders walk by and your mouth hit the floor.
That's
time.
not.
So you were taking notes on that.
That's not how I remember it.
I do, because you were talking with your wife, FaceTiming her, and I had to say something to you, man. Get your eyes on your wife. All right, man. So
my eyes were on my wife. I didn't even notice them walking by. You just took your chance. You're like, oh my God, this is how I get him in the doghouse right now.
That's all right. At the draft, you were trying to get your son to go take pictures with the cheerleaders. So I know how you operate, man. That's all right. I don't blame you. They're good looking, man.
I will not deny that.
August 6th is another camp. Jacob and I will both be at that one too. That's just like the general mission camp. We were able to get tickets to that one. So Jacob will be distracted because 2 of his boys will be there. And so I will probably be the one to have to take notes on that one, talk about getting muffins and all sorts of treats. Is this like you get all that stuff before practice and then it's butts on the seat and we're watching this? Is that how you're going to operate with your kids?
I don't know. It's the first training camp that we've been to. Okay. I'm sure as soon as the good things happen, Milo will probably have to use the bathroom, and then JJ will be hungry, and then I'll just miss everything.
I don't know. I tell you, the lines. If anybody's going out to training camp, I obviously haven't been out this year as the open public ones haven't started, but the lines get long at some point during the game. So I would get your stuff, your snacks or whatever. If you plan on wanting to watch practice, get there. Autographs are they changed them last year. There's a fence. There's a fence that people line up against, and that's your best chance of getting autographs. So if you're going there, I will report. Jacob and I will be at practice, so we'll report. If anything changes this year. But as of last year, you wanted to be right up against the fence. Like on the Meyer training, like where the training facility, the complex is, you want to be on that side of the fence. That's where the players are kind of walking out to the field, and that had the best chance. The previous season, we got Deckers and Grahams on the other side where the general mission stands are. but they've kind of walled that off a little bit different. There's not as much fence space over there. So the players, last time we were there, the players didn't even come to that side. I don't know if that was specific for that one practice or not, but, Jacob and I will talk a little bit about the setup and everything like that. And we plan on, I would assume Monday, we're going to be recording. I know that Matt Sotiziak over from Not the Same Old Lions podcast, I'm going to be on his podcast, maybe Jacob too, depending on when practice is laid out and when he's free. So we probably jump on over there and he's going to have a talk with us. And I know that when he goes, I can't remember the date of his practice, but he's going to jump on our podcast and tell us what he saw at his practice. So we're going to try to help each other out a little bit there. Matt's a good guy, and I'm glad to be talking with him a little bit more.
Yep. Always good to get that valuable insight. Real quick, just for anybody else that missed out on training camp tickets, because thankfully Jason is a season ticket holder, and I was able to, he was able to bring me along for one of them. We get the other one, through work. But, 10 o'clock, as soon as the tickets were available, I jumped in queue, and I was number like 16,000 or something like that. I think it was 10 o'clock. So it's at 10 o'clock. I had to work at 11:30. And then by the time my turn was up, I want to say it was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something before it was finally my turn. And I knew they were going to be out of tickets because it went from like 1,500 to 1,000 to 800 to 400. And all of a sudden it was moving really quick. Yeah. So I already knew it was coming, but it was like, it's your turn, join. And then as soon as I clicked, it was like, there's no tickets available for anything. Yeah, so anyone else that had that experience, I feel your pain and I can relate to it.
That's when I got on. So they went on, like you said, they started at 10. I signed in like at 9:57 and I got right in, like literally by 10:05. I had tickets.
I heard that because people were complaining that I guess it opened at like 9:45 or 9:50.
Yeah, I kept refreshing.
So people that were clicking it and got in, they got in before it even started. And if you were like me and waited until 10 o'clock or like a little after, right at 10, game over for you.
That has been my experience with the Lions thing, is that it opens up a tad bit early. So I got
well, then shouts out to Jason for letting me know that morning ahead of time.
Dude, I gave you 3 of the 4 tickets I got that day. So
I appreciate that.
I'm giving you like the tickets because my family can't come that day because it's actually Preston's birthday party is that day. His birthday's a couple days before that. But he's having like going to Urban Air, so they're doing the trampoline park. They're doing that, and I wasn't sure I was gonna make it because I was, but it's not starting till 11:30, and practice starts at 8:30. So I'm gonna shoot down there and get there in time. Originally, I was gonna have to drive some of the kids because there was gonna be too many kids for one car. I was gonna have to borrow your minivan. Actually, I should have done that. But no, I one of the kids dropped out, so now everyone could fit in one car. So I can go to practice with you and your boys, 2 of your boys, and then go right down to my son's thing. So that'll be cool. But I'm looking forward to those practices. It's gonna be a good time. It'll be fun hanging out with you too.
Definitely. I haven't seen you in person in
I know
how long? Month and a half?
Yeah, you're just a guy on my screen right now on my computer. Yeah. And someone to text me. I see your words every once in a while. But all right, man. I'm excited for more information. Excited to hear from Dan Campbell tomorrow. Hopefully the Vaki thing is good. And then we'll, more of the practice stuff. Really interested if the offensive line just keeps lining up the same way. I have a feeling it's going to be the same lineup, at least until Decker gets back. But all right, for Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.